And live in our studio, he's 25, 6'3", from Youngstown, Ohio, unbeaten, and he says he's ready for the middleweight championship of the world. Kelly, the Ghost Pavlik. Friday Night Fights, now. And hello, everybody. Welcome into the studios here on Friday Night Fights. I'm Brian Kenny, and this week we are joined by a man who's gone from the undercard to the main event and the long road now to the co-host position here on Friday Night Fights. We welcome in, officially, in a suit, looking sharp, Kelly Pavlik. Kelly, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, too.
It's great having you here. We're going to talk all about your career and your bright future and just what you've done. I know hardcore fans out there on Friday Night Fights, they've seen this guy before. Made his pro debut here on ESPN2. But take a look at the resume just to see where he's at for the mainstream fans. Now 31-0, 28 KOs. Yet the math makes sense. 28 out of 31 wins via knockout. And now he is primed for a title shot, the #3 middleweight in the world, rated by Ring Magazine. Saturday night, the showdown against Edison Miranda. Strong guy, Kelly. How did you back him up and bust him up?
Well, that was our game plan. We didn't want him to set up. You know, he comes in with a lot of jabs and throws big right hands. And usually when he fights guys, he does damage when they're going backwards. But we stuck to our game plan. We wanted to keep him going backwards.
Could you have envisioned that ending that you just saw right there? Did you think it was going to? Because I certainly didn't. And again, I've been watching you a long time. I respected you a long time. But after seeing what he did to Alan Green, I didn't think you could just pound him and stop him. He's never been stopped before.
Well, we had a different training regimen for this fight, too. You know, me and my dad and my trainer, we went through things. We went through old school type training, you know, swinging sledgehammers, pushing cars in parking lots. So we wanted to get ourselves physically stronger for this fight than we've ever been in our career. And when we went in there, that's how I felt that night. I just felt strong. We stuck to the game plan. He's not a very sound fighter when he's going backwards, so that's why our whole game plan was to keep him going backwards. And, you know, that's one thing I got to give myself credit for in that fight, was sticking to the game plan like we did.
And going old school, like Rocky IV, right? Was that Rocky IV where he goes old school? I guess that's about it. We have a lot to talk about. We'll do it throughout the night. Coming up tonight on Friday Night Fights as well, Gaddy and Ward together again. And then is Jermaine Taylor next, the middleweight champion of the world, next for our guest, Kelly Pavlik.
Impressive balance. A guy who knows something about punching is our studio guest tonight. The hard punching, perhaps most feared middleweight in the world right now, Kelly Pavlik. Kelly, we're so glad to have you with us. It wasn't long ago that you were in this position that Lamont Peterson is in, an undefeated prospect. Where do you think he is? What stage of the game do you think he's at in that ladder of prospect to fringe contender to title challenger? Where do you put him?
I think he's on his way there. He's looking very sharp tonight. He's throwing punches, a lot of punches. His conditioning looks good. Sharp hand speed's there. I think he could have a lot more power if he sits down on his punches a little more. I think he's wasting a lot of shots tonight. You know, a lot of body shots and a lot of uppercuts that are being blocked. I think if he sits there and use a little bit more feints and sets up more straight right hands down the middle, I think, you know, he could end the fight.
Kelly, I think our fans would be interested after seeing you in that great performance with Miranda not too long ago. The way you mentally kept yourself together. When you did get hit some big shots by a big puncher, you took them well. How much of that is from the confidence and the area of having a great amateur background, and how much of it is just having a good chin?
First, the training regimen went through, my dad with me, and my trainer, Jack. So that helped a lot. We were ready going into that fight. We were strong. And then the experience from the amateurs, definitely. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that happened in that fight, even in the pros, that you know, go back to your amateur days and learning things, and the experience with the jab, the straight punches down the middle. When I had him hurt, you know, instead of just throwing wild punches, I took my time and threw him down the middle.
What did you think of Lamont? Again, we're watching it here together, and it's interesting because you pick your spots and then really lay the power out on somebody. What do you think Lamont can do to get to even the next level? Clearly, he looks great, but what could he do better?
Well, he does look good, but I think if he takes his time a little bit more, you know, wastes a lot of punches there. You know, some of them uppercuts hit the gloves. But if he sits there and picks his time, does a little bit more feinting with his punches, throws a little more uppercuts after he comes off a feint. I think he could stop a lot of people. It looks like he has the power there. It's just everybody knows it's coming because every punch he throws is a hard punch. But you know, we didn't see much today with John Brown, you know, the guy he fought. So we'll see what happens when he fights a guy who's going to come and throw a lot of punches.
It'll be fascinating when someone comes at him that he's got to bring out the whole arsenal and show everything. Look, again, Kelly Pavlik is here, now one of the top middleweights in the world, and we've seen him for years. But this was a true contender showdown this past weekend, where we've also seen Edison Miranda wins over Howard Eastman, Willie Gibbs, and then Alan Green. Kelly with wins over Bronco McCart, Lenore Pierre, Jose Luis Zartucci, and then here in round 6. You finally got to him. Again, we showed the early round where you were able to back him up. You know, what was happening here at this point, Kelly? What were your thoughts?
Just stay on him. You know, I had him hurt, and I was hoping that the referee would have stopped it, you know, earlier because...
Come out for round 7. You were surprised by that?
Yeah, I was surprised. Well, then again, actually, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that I stopped him as quickly as I did in the 7th because he looked like he got his legs back under him in the 7th round. But he's a warrior, and I know he wasn't going to quit that easy.
Yeah, it's the first time he's been stopped. As you see, first KO loss in 30 pro fights. He has a loss with Arthur Abraham, but that he was fighting to the bitter end on that one. And now Kelly Pavlik becomes #1 contender for one of the belts. Again, he's #3 in Ring Magazine. And after what people saw together on that HBO telecast, where they saw Jermaine Taylor and they saw Kelly Pavlik, I think people are thinking, all right, Kelly's ready for this guy. Let's take a look at what Edison Miranda had to say, because I guess Edison had a lot to say before the fight.
Yes, he did.
But Kelly, how about this? After the fight, and let's a good sportsman, Edison, who really talks a lot, says congratulations on your win. It was an honor to be in the ring with a warrior who thinks and fights like you do. I hope we fight again. He's got such strength. Did you think you could bang with him, Kelly? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, and as I said earlier, our game plan was to stay on him and suffocate some of his wild punches, you know, his right hand. He hit me flush with a couple of the right hands, though, and we took it. He hits hard, you know, he hit like we expected him to, but we just prepared ourselves ready, you know, for that. And towards the end, we just wore him down. You know, we train for every fight, throwing a lot of punches around.
Alan Green has very heavy hands, and he fights mostly at 168. After you saw what he did to Alan Green, you know, you still took that fight. Why? What was in your mind at that point? Because I was thinking, I don't know, should Kelly Pavlik take that fight? What did you think?
Well, fights, you know, styles make fights also. Alan Green wasn't fighting the way I think he could fight, you know. He backed up, and actually it showed me a lot right there. When he was backing up the whole time, you know, when he got in trouble. But as soon as he backed Edison Miranda up, that's when he did his best, and he put Miranda down on a canvas. So after watching that fight, we just, you know, put that game plan together. I think once we back him up and keep him going backwards and hit him with our power shots, he's not going to be able to handle that. And, you know, that's how it turned out, you know, Saturday night.
Well, that was an excellent fight. People loved watching that fight. Then it was, again, that was on the undercard. Then the main event was the middleweight champion of the world, Jermaine Taylor, taking on the former welterweight champion of the world, Corey Spinks. Again, Corey had moved up to 154, had a good win over Roman Carmazin and Rodney Jones. Then on the other side for Taylor, and then you had the one close judge of 115, 113. Kelly, again, I had it 7-5 Spinks. It could be 6-6. It was close. I don't think Corey Spinks is getting the credit for the boxing job he did against a bigger man.
No, you know, and before the fight, I told a lot of people, you know, don't be surprised if Spinks goes in there and wins if he outboxes Taylor. I mean, Corey Spinks is a great boxer. I don't think he belongs at 160 still, you know, but he's a really good boxer, and close fights like that, you got to understand that Jermaine Taylor's still kind of young too, and he's the world champion. And I think the reason why he's getting a lot of these close decisions is because to beat the champion, you got to not only beat him, but you have to beat him convincingly.
What did you think of Jermaine's performance? Given that, look, you're looking at him now, what did you think of his performance in this fight?
I think he could have done a lot better. Rating of 10, I give him probably about a 4. From that performance. I just think he could have done so much better. All he had to do was just let his hands go. You know, it's boxing. It wasn't, you know, Dancing with the Stars. And Taylor could throw a lot of punches. He's strong. He's a big middleweight. He's got a lot of tools. I just think he should start using them more.
You fought Jermaine Taylor in the amateurs, in Olympic trials. Is this now the time for you to go after the middleweight championship of the world?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's a perfect time. You know, he's starting to have a hard time making middleweight. I'm having a hard time making middleweight. I think this is a great opportunity for us to fight. You know, he's the world champion. He has the belt. He has a pretty big name right now in the division. So if there's anybody I want to fight, you know, of course I want to fight him.
What would happen now? This is what the fans are saying here. If Kelly Pavlik fights for the middleweight championship against Jermaine Taylor, what would the outcome be? You won a lot of people over, Kelly. What are your thoughts on that? That people would pick you to knock out Jermaine Taylor right now?
You know, it's good. After all these years, you know, Jose Luis Zartucci was a rugged, tough fighter who could take a good punch. He was on the 2000 Olympic Mexican team, which is, anytime you get on that team, you can obviously fight. He could punch with both hands. But these are the type of fights I was taking. I'm taking these dangerous fights with guys that could take a punch and give one, and I'm taking, you know, care of business quick too. You know, I'm just not winning a sloppy decision.
Right.
You know,
Oh yeah.
You know, taking them out. So.